welcome back. We are now ready to jump into our third presentation of the day. We're going to be joined by Amy Howell, Associate Research Scientist from Rutgers University, who will present the latest findings regarding the health benefits of blueberries. So let's jump into this presentation and let's welcome Amy. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Amy Howell from Rutgers University in New Jersey, and I'm happy to be here today to talk about the blueberry health research that's being funded by the U.S. Highbush Blueberry Council. I've been stationed at the Rutgers Blueberry and Cranberry Research Center in Chatsworth, New Jersey for the last almost 30 years now, and we work on both blueberry and cranberry, all production aspects, and I do the health benefits research. Our research center is located in the middle of the New Jersey Pine Barrens, which is an ecological preserve that is quite unique, located between the major cities of New York, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. And we have beautiful pine stands as well as unique flora and fauna. So it's a perfect place for finding wild vaccinium species as well. Both blueberries and cranberries are the genus Vaccinium, which grow wild in our New Jersey pine barrens, or pine lands as they call it. Both these crops are native to North America, and you can find wild varieties of these growing along the rivers and streams. The blueberry here is the Highbush wild blueberry. The cultivated Highbush blueberry grows in many regions in North and South America. The main state is Michigan, producing quite a few of the blueberries. Also other regions of New Jersey. The South, we have Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, and out in the West, especially California, Oregon, Washington, and British Columbia, Canada are big growing regions. And we can't forget Peru, where this conference is being held, is now a big producer of blueberries. So we have all these blueberries. How do we get people to eat more of them for the health benefits? Well, we can combine the data from health research along with the appeal of the product. Blueberries are highly appealing to consumers because they taste so good and they're easy to prepare and consume. That information then goes to the promotion people who put it out in the media and target consumers, which then increases the consumer demand for more blueberries. I want to tell you a little bit about the U.S. Highbush Blueberry Council. I am the public member on this council and also a member of the Health Research Committee, and we fund proposals every 2 years. We put out a request for proposals to scientists. We do this broadly. We have a very big database of people interested in applying for this funding. So we have part of our funding go to exploratory research to broaden the health halo for blueberries and to try and identify areas that we have not funded previously and could be potentially new areas of research. We also take part of the money and target funding to centers of excellence of research and actually solicit proposals for clinical trials. This greatly improves our chances of success in that we are going to a research center that has done this work before and would be very good at designing a study with a high level of success. We then work with the USHBC Promotion Committee to help bring the media attention to the research and the positive human clinical trial data, and this all drives the demand for the blueberries. Now, the interest in blueberries began, many, many years ago, obviously, but if you look at this chart, around the year 2000, when USHBC was first initiated, from 2000, this just goes to 2011, you can see a very steep climb in the number of health-related blueberry research publications. And that tracks very nicely with the blueberry consumption, at least in North America. And you can see here a very big increase in the per capita consumption of blueberries. And it really does track with those health research publications. And just to give you an idea of what we've been doing over the past 20 years, we've invested over $9.6 million in health research. We have approximately 13 ongoing studies and 56 published studies that have all been peer-reviewed. We have 40 collaborations within the U.S. and international academic institutions as well. Now, blueberries are considered to be one of the healthiest fruits around. And why is this? Well, there are a number of very potent, what we call phyto or plant chemicals in blueberries that bring about these health effects. We also have a very broad portfolio of this health research, including quite a few clinical trials, which are critical for promotion of the health benefits. We also communicate these health benefits very effectively through our promotion committee. Now, the major compounds that are responsible for these health benefits in blueberries are the anthocyanin pigments, which color the fruit, give it that nice blue color. They also protect the fruit from excessive UV ultraviolet light exposure in very sunny locations. The flavanols are a yellow pigment, and they are very involved in pest and insect disease resistance and also in the taste components of blueberries. Proanthocyanidins are a type of condensed tannin molecule that occur, and they give blueberries a little bit of their astringent taste. They're also plant defense compounds produced by the plant under times of stress. And you can see here that per serving, blueberries only have about 80 calories in 1 cup, and they contain about 160 or so milligrams per 100 grams of these anthocyanin polyphenols. And this is one group of compounds that has really been linked to the health benefits. You can also see that you get quite a bit of fiber, vitamin C, vitamin K, and manganese in a single serving of blueberries. USHBC has really cast a wide net in the types of research that they have funded. And you can see these are just a sampling of the areas that we've supported, including, of course, all of the brain aging work and also a metabolic syndrome, which includes all these heart disease risk factors, etc. And then down at the bottom now, you'll see some new areas, the gut microbiome effects, exercise improvement and recovery, as well as some traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress work, and gout, just to name a few. So we're really looking at many of these areas to see and really getting some good results coming back from these studies. Now, all this interest in blueberry health benefits started based on the fact that blueberries have a very potent antioxidant activity, as do all other berries that were tested as well. The original antioxidant work was done by Dr. Ron Pryor at USDA, where he compared blueberry to a number of different fruits and vegetables and found that blueberries came out on top for oxygen radical absorbance capacity, which is a measure of antioxidant activity. And that really got the interest of consumer and media, and blueberry research really took off at that point. But as you will see in this presentation, the health benefits of blueberries really go way beyond just the antioxidant activity. Now, the USHBC is currently focused on these 5 areas of research: brain health, cardiovascular health, insulin or diabetic response, and some new areas, gut health and exercise. So I'll be giving you some updates in these various areas. And of course, brain aging, anything that helps cognition is going to get a lot of media attention, and it has for many years and continues to garner a lot of attention. And so this really does help to drive blueberry demand. The very early studies on blueberries and brain aging were done by Dr. Jim Joseph and Dr. Barbara Shuckett-Hale up at Tufts University in Massachusetts. And they worked mainly with aged rats. And they found that blueberry dietary supplement really did lead to improvements in memory and also impacted motor control and behavioral deficits and helped movement and coordination. One of the earliest studies that Dr. Joseph did was he had a little swimming pool and he put young rats in and he showed them where the exit was. They jumped off a platform and they easily swam to the exit. Then they put old rats into the same swimming pool, showed them the exit. The old rat, they swam around for a long time and could not find the exits. It took much, much longer. What they did was they gave the old rats a blueberry fortified rat chow, and they retested them. And interestingly, the old rat was able to jump off the platform and find the exit very similarly to the young rat. So that was quite interesting. And they also did something where they put these elderly rats on a kind of a log rolling device. And the old rats that had the blueberry rat chow did significantly better on this rod walking test than when they ate spinach or strawberry. In one study, they found that blueberries actually induce neurogenesis, which is unbelievable in that there are very few foods that will do this. In a recent 2018 study, older adults with cognitive decline were treated with blueberries over a 4-month period, and it actually enhanced neural response when they took a memory test. So these are all very interesting results. In a few other studies that were done on cognition, after 3 months of consuming blueberries, some healthy older adults did better in a task switching memory test. And another one, they found that blueberry powder intake improved memory and subjective improvements in everyday function in 39 older adults that had complaints of cognitive issues. And they sort of linked these into mechanisms, and they found that blueberry consumption enhanced executive brain functioning ability, also improved regional blood oxygen level, which actually improved their overall performance on these tests. And then they linked some of these benefits to the polyphenolics in blueberries that I mentioned earlier, especially the anthocyanin compound or the pigments in blueberries. Now, there have been a few studies on blueberries and Alzheimer's disease, which can cause these brain tangles and brain plaques that inhibit blood flow in the brain and translate into these behavioral deficits that you see. And when subjects consumed the blueberries, it enhanced the communication between neurons, or a process called cell signaling. And it improved the overall functionality of the subjects. But it will not prevent or cure Alzheimer's disease if you eat blueberries. There's been a focus on certain dietary components that may help to prevent Alzheimer's disease. And one study that's using something called the MIND diet is doing just that. And we provided blueberries for this study from USHBC. So the MIND diet is a collaborative 3-year NIH trial, a $14.5 million trial. It's a collaboration between Rush University, Harvard University, and Brigham and Women's Hospital. And the subjects are provided with nuts, olive oil, and blueberries as the only berry over this 3-year study. So we're very excited about this, and we hope that this will really drive demand if it comes out positively. Blueberries are also being researched for their effects on depression. And even the Wall Street Journal has put out a very good article on the foods that help battle depression. And they really think that what you eat is really influencing depression. Things like processed deep fried foods with the trans fats, they produce this inflammation that they think is linked very highly to depression. And they're finding that elderly adults who eat fruits, vegetables such as blueberries and whole grains are less likely to develop this depression over time. So some of the proposed mechanisms that promote brain health when you eat blueberries are, of course, are the antioxidant activity, this anti-inflammatory activity, which results in improved blood flow and protects arteries. Then you have the increased neurogenesis and the what we call alterations in neuronal communication or cell signaling, which cells talk to each other and bring about positive things for your health. A thing called metabolic syndrome is a term that you may or may not have heard of, but if you haven't, you will. In the U.S., 25 to 30% of the population has this, and the prevalence increases as you get older. So by the time you reach 60 years old, people between the ages of 60 and 79, 40% of these people have got metabolic syndrome. And it really is associated with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, if you have a big belly, if you have diabetes, or even insulin resistance. And inflammation, all 5 of those are associated with this syndrome. Gut health and cognitive decline and dementia are also now figuring into this syndrome and may become a part of the definition in years to come. One of the results of metabolic syndrome is blood vessel constriction, and this has very negative effects on many different areas of our life. It's really caused by obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and if you have high levels of sugar in your bloodstream, and if you smoke and are stressed, this can really become a problem. I like to say the 3 S's, sugar, smoking, and stress, really bring this on. And what it does is it narrows your arteries so that less blood can get through. And so you end up having things like depression and cognitive decline because you're not getting as much blood, you're not getting as much oxygen carried in that blood to help with things like physical capacity. So when you walk up a flight of stairs, you might get more out of breath. So all of these things can be improved if you are able to get some aerobic exercise, and also if you can supplement your diet with blueberries. Now the research is really coming back with some positive benefits against metabolic syndrome. One particular study has shown improvements in FMD, or flow-mediated vasodilation, which is a measure of blood vessel constriction, and it is used to evaluate your cardiovascular risk. In this particular study, it was a double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial with 21 healthy men. And you can see from the graph on the right that after just 1 hour, 1 cup of blueberry dose significantly improved this FMD. Postmenopausal women are at a much higher risk in metabolic syndrome when they have hypertension or high blood pressure, and they can develop arterial stiffness, and this really does increase your cardiovascular disease risk and is involved with this FMD. So in this particular study, blueberries were consumed for 8 weeks. There were 48 of these postmenopausal women involved, and they all had pre or stage 1 hypertension. And 22 grams of frozen blueberry powder, which is equivalent to about a cup of fresh blueberries, were provided, or the 22 grams of a control powder. It resulted in reduced blood pressure and arterial stiffness, and they think it's due potentially to an increase in nitric oxide production. So these cardiovascular benefits with blueberry are really all about improving blood flow. And blueberry consumption really does reduce the inflexibility of the arteries, so you get better blood flow, and reduces the inflammation that causes this blood vessel constriction. And this is similar to aspirin. It inhibits COX-2 expression and decreases pro-inflammatory prostaglandin synthesis. Several studies have shown that blueberry consumption can lower blood pressure in people with metabolic syndrome. Equivalents of 1.5 cups of fresh blueberries were consumed for 56 days, and there was a 6% decrease in the systolic blood pressure and a 4% decrease in the diastolic blood pressure. This is in both men and women with metabolic syndrome. Blueberries have also been shown to lower cholesterol. Now, this was a pig feeding study done in Canada, and it was interesting because total cholesterol was lowered 12% when these pigs consumed lower levels of blueberry, 1 or 2 cups versus the high dose of 4 cups. The 4 cups didn't do quite as well, so you don't have to take very large amounts of blueberry to bring about these effects. The other interesting thing about this was that in the pigs that had the phytochemical poor diet, or what do we call the McDonald's diet, the blueberries really worked better and counteracted the effects of the added cholesterol, sugar, and salt added to the diet than those that were very healthy. So this has implications as well for improving in the media to get people to consume blueberries that have kind of a poor diet to begin with. Now, this is an interesting study where they looked at food records, and they found that in 100,000 young and middle-aged women, so these are not people with lots of health issues, these are fairly young, healthy women, and they found that if these women ate blueberries and strawberries at least 3 times a week, they had a 34% decrease in their heart attack risk. Wow, I think that is phenomenal and quite easy to achieve 3 times a week to include these fruits in your diet. A very recent clinical trial in which people consumed 1 cup of blueberries daily for 6 months, they found improvements in flow-mediated dilation, so this endothelial function or blood vessel constriction. They had improvements in arterial stiffness and also increases in good cholesterol, or the HDL. Interestingly, they did not find a change in any of the insulin resistance that was measured. A clinical trial at Pennington University in 2010 found improvements in the body's response to insulin that it was still producing. So these were not diabetic people which produce no insulin. They were people producing insulin but had lost the sensitivity to react to it. And 2 blueberry smoothies a day for 6 weeks in obese and non-diabetic insulin-resistant individuals had a positive benefit. And here you can see how great it was, a 4-fold increase in ability of insulin to work. So it increased the sensitivity of the body to the insulin to be able to handle the sugar that was being consumed. Another area is, can blueberry consumption actually reduce stomach or abdominal fat? There were 2 studies done in rats which showed, yes, there is a possibility that this could happen. More research needs to be done to find out if it will actually work in humans. And of course, if it does work in humans, we're going to be getting lots of stories like this because everybody wants to have a flatter stomach. Now, a new area of research over the last about 5 years is the gut microbiome, and this is really critical in nutrition and health because this is where all the food initially goes, and these gut organisms that are in our stomach and lower intestine, they help to metabolize food components that affect all kinds of body systems and health conditions. One study on high-fat diet-fed rats found after 8 weeks, that blueberry supplementation led to the gut changes in the gut composition, and this was associated with improvements in inflammation and also in insulin signaling. An interesting technique used in this study is fecal transplantation, where they take the bacteria in fecal matter from a healthy subject or a thin subject and implant it into the rectum of something like an obese mice or that has other problems. So they found that the rats that were fed blueberry polyphenols, they had lower body weight and improved insulin sensitivity, and that when this was implanted into a rat that was fed the high fat diet, those rats improved. So this is partial modulation through the microbiome changes. Very interesting. Now, one area that's a new focus for USHBC is exercise. And we feel that everybody needs to exercise, and there's a lot of interest from consumers in finding ways to improve their exercise performance. And so several studies were done. One on the top here lowered the blood lactate. So lactic acid buildup in the muscles where you get cramping, that was reduced when blueberries were consumed. And here's one where women were consumers of blueberries for 6 weeks, and it altered their muscle progenitor cell function. And the bottom study really, does acute blueberry supplementation influence this exercise intensity? And they looked at some other cognitive things as well. And this is an ongoing study. Other studies with exercise and blueberries, one is being done at Appalachian State University, and supplementing blueberries to see if there's a reduction in inflammation after exercise. And also a study done in Canada, does blueberry supplementation improve or mitigate things like inflammation, oxidative stress, etc., on long distance runners. So I think you're getting the idea. There's quite a broad array of benefits for blueberry consumption. And if you want to read more about these areas, there are 2 recent review papers on the health benefits of blueberries, one in Advances in Nutrition and another in the Critical Reviews in Food Science and Nutrition. So I think both of these are available for free download, and if you want to just copy the titles, you can easily find them online. So it's becoming quite clear from the research that the health benefits are due to mixtures of these polyphenolic and other compounds that are in blueberries. So we really want to try to eat the whole fruit and not take too many extracts, because you might be missing something that's important for the benefit that you're targeting. So what is the target intake amount of blueberries per day? The research shows that it's about 1 cup of the fresh or frozen blueberries. And the frozen blueberries are great because you can capture all the benefits and all the phytochemicals in the frozen fruit, and it doesn't really seem to impact the health benefits that much to have the fruit frozen down. So you can keep your blueberries in the freezer for long periods of time and utilize them over the whole winter if you need to obtain these benefits. And there are many, many different ways that blueberries can be incorporated into the diet for these health benefits. Smoothies is a great way to get blueberries in the morning with yogurt and other good foods. Put them on oatmeal, mix them into salads, and also as snacks on cheese, on crackers is an excellent way, and very, very delicious. And you'll even get benefit from including blueberries in desserts. Some of the proanthocyanidin compounds are heat stable, so you can cook with blueberries and still get most of these benefits. Also, the dried blueberries are very interesting now. And they can be mixed with different nuts to make a kind of a trail mix or a granola, which can be enjoyed in the mornings and has good health benefits. So the final word is blueberries are the blues that make you feel good. I hope you've enjoyed today's presentation on the health benefits of blueberries. For more information on blueberries and health, you can go to this following website and download the research abstracts from many of these different areas. Now I think we're going to transition to some questions, and I will be available to answer those. Thank you very much.
Welcome back to the stage. Now we're going into our Q&A section with Amy. Please welcome Dr. Amy Howell. Hi, Amy.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
Hi, how are you? Nice to be here today with you.
Thank you very much for joining us. And also special thanks for all this great work that you're doing in researching blueberries and all these findings that you're getting. And you explain it perfectly in the presentation, how important are these findings to raise awareness about the health benefits of blueberries and ultimately increase their consumption. So
Absolutely.
Before we jump into the questions, just some instructions for our participants. If you want to post your questions, go to the chat, but first you have to select group. Once you select group, you can post your questions in Spanish or in English. So now we're ready to start with the Q&A, Amy. This is our first questions. Are blueberries available in peel form? Do they have the same health benefits as fresh blueberries? Is there any difference in that?
Well, when you're talking about the health benefits, you really want to try to eat the whole fruit. Whether it is fresh or in the off-season, frozen. Frozen and fresh, there's very little difference in the health benefits between the two. So you can kind of lock in all the nutrients with frozen fruit and have them over the off-season and include them daily in your diet. There are some dietary supplement blueberries available, but they're not standardized, and since they are dietary supplements, they, at least in the United States, are not regulated by the FDA. So you're not really sure what you're getting. And I think there could be some room for a powdered blueberry supplement in the future, but we need to get a better idea of how well they are doing and do some clinical research on them.
Okay, great. Our next question for Amy. Amy, what are the active compounds in blueberries? I think you started your presentation talking a bit about this. Can you please explain a bit more about the active compounds in blueberries?
Sure. There, as I said, are a broad array of these beneficial compounds in blueberries. The main group that has been studied are the flavonoid compounds, which include the proanthocyanidins that are the condensed tannins, a little bit like what you find in red wine, but they can have a little bit different structure in blueberries. Also, the anthocyanin pigments that give blueberries the nice blue color have really been associated with the insulin sensitivity activity, diabetic activity of blueberries to help to mitigate some of these factors. So really it seems to be that inflammation can be helped by some of the flavanol glycoside components. So it's all different kinds of flavonoids that appear to be working together to bring about these health benefits.
Okay, thank you for that. Now to our next question. Is there a health message fatigue? You showed in one of the graphs the amount of scientific research that have been done during the past years, and how much more research have been done lately, right, that have helped increase consumption significantly. How can you answer this question? Is there a health message fatigue?
You mean a current health message that we can use to help with blueberry consumption for health benefits? Is that what you're getting at?
I think that's the intention of the question. Yes.
Yeah, I think that we have competition for stomach space, and we can choose what we put into our diets and eventually into our stomachs for energy. And we can include nutritious foods that give us a health benefit, or we can eat more of a junk food diet. Now, personally, and also professionally, the research shows that if you try and prevent some of these diseases and afflictions before they start with a very good diet from when you are young, especially, that you can really mitigate a lot of this and have a much healthier lifestyle in general and feel better, because as you saw from my presentation, blueberries really do influence cognition and overall brain health as we age. So it's really a wonderful, quote unquote, superfood to include on a daily basis in your diet, whether fresh or frozen.
Yeah, for sure. It's really interesting, your presentation. Besides all the health benefits, also all the benefits for our brains, and still there's a lot of investigation to be done. And going into our next question, you mentioned in one of your slides something about Alzheimer's. If correct me if I'm wrong, but you mentioned that it doesn't cure, but it helps, right? So I think this question might be tied to that. Will eating blueberries actually cure diseases? What can you tell us about that, Amy?
Yeah, most of the time, in almost every case, plant foods do not cure infections or diseases. What they do is many times help to prevent infections, especially bacterial infections, or they help medications work better, things like potentiating antibiotics and things like that, but they do not really take an infection away. Now, in the case of Alzheimer's, what they found is that consuming blueberries will help in the functionality of your brain. It won't prevent or cure Alzheimer's, because those tangles and plaques in your brain that are inhibiting blood flow really are causing a lot of the symptoms. But when you eat the blueberries, it helps to increase the blood flow through your brain and overcome some of the deficits that you will see when you have Alzheimer's. So it's really just helping you feel and function better.
Okay, great. I'm gonna go back to the previous question about fatigue. I think they have resent their question, putting it more clearly. I think what they mentioned is if consumer receptiveness reduced because of all the health messaging that you might find out there. This question is more tied to promoting, I think. Can you say something about it?
Well, I'll tell you, as far as blueberries go, we are really leading the pack here in health benefits. And I honestly, from what we've seen, especially in USHBC in the promotion area, there is no letting up on the interest in blueberries for health promotion. And with all the different areas that we're able to do clinical trials in, because we do get a significant amount of funding to hand out, we're coming up with really, really good, well-designed clinical research that is really substantiating these benefits. So we're not really getting caught up in all of the hype, if you will, about other fruits and vegetables, curing things like baldness and letting you live forever and all these things. That we don't really deal with those types of sensational headlines at all, because we have very strong clinical evidence to back up what we say. So I don't see any decrease in any of that. I only see additional interest as we move forward in times of COVID, and where people are looking to improve their diets with anti-inflammatory compounds, things that'll help boost immunity, and blueberries certainly do both of those things.
Good to hear that, and thanks again for all the effort you're doing and the help of the USHBC Health Committee to put all this scientific research to make them a possibility. That's super important for all the blueberry community worldwide. We're going to our next question. Has there been an evaluation between drying methods, heat versus freeze-dried, and the benefits? Has there been an evaluation between drying methods and the benefits?
Yes, actually, there have been a few smaller studies on this, and many of the drying facilities that are located in, say, California, some of the bigger blueberry growing regions where they're really trying to get better at drying blueberries to maintain some of the health benefits. You want to kind of stay away more from the heat-driven drying methods. The infrared does quite a good job of retaining the benefits. You just want to avoid a lot of air and heat. So there's more research to be done in this area for sure. And also, maintaining the suppleness of the blueberry is important in drying. There is natural sugar, so you do get a nice texture when it's finished, but the drying method can definitely influence the overall properties of the final product as well as the health benefits. So there has been research, there will be more to come, but if people need more information on that, through USHBC, we could certainly try to provide that.
Okay, great. I think we don't have more time for questions, but thank you for that last comment. So any other questions that the audience might have, we could direct them to the USHBC Health Committee. I assume so. And well, again, that's great support for the blueberry community. So, Amy, I just want to thank you for being part of the IBO Summit. Thank you very much for your presentation and for being with us here today.
Thank you.
Yeah,
all right.
Thank you very much for that.
It. All right. Good luck with the rest of the talks.
Thank you. So now we are going into our final block of day 2 of the IBO Summit. We're going to the virtual tours. Before that, we're gonna take a quick break, 15-minute quick break. Please take the time to visit the commercial area and see you back to start our virtual tours of the day. We're gonna visit Campo Sol and Agrícola Cerro Prieto. You don't want to miss that.